Embracing the Soul's Radiance, a deep dive into self-love. What is self-love? A whisper from within. Self-love is the tender act of cherishing one's own essence, embracing flaws and virtues alike with grace, nurturing the body and soul without apology. It is not the clamor of ego or vanity, but the quiet foundation of authentic connections with others. Picture the love you offer a dear friend: encouragement, forgiveness, care. This is the same reverence you must bestow upon yourself. In today's world, where movements like body positivity and mental health awareness ripple across cultures, self-love has become a beacon, guiding countless souls through the fog of doubt and despair. But how does this sacred bond with oneself take root? Let us trace its origins. The wellsprings of self-love. Why it blooms. Self-love is not always an innate gift. It often blossoms through the seasons of life and the nurturing of experience. Drawing from psychological insights, here are the primary sources of its growth. The cradle of childhood. A child raised in a haven of encouragement, where self-expression is celebrated and efforts honored, grows with a seed of self-worth. Conversely, neglect or harsh criticism may dim this light, though it can be rekindled through conscious healing later in life. Moments of triumph. Personal victories. B. It mastering a skill, achieving a career milestone, or crossing a marathon's finish line. Ignite confidence. Supportive relationships with loved ones mirror our value back to us, nourishing the soul's love. The awakening of awareness. In our age of enlightenment, resources like Brené Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection or mindfulness practices, such as meditation and yoga, empower us to cultivate self-love deliberately. Knowledge becomes the key to embracing our imperfections. Resilience born of struggle. Sometimes self-love arises from the ashes of hardship. A heartbreak, a failure, or a moment of exhaustion can spark a turning inward, where one discovers the strength to prioritize the self. Ultimately, self-love weaves together nature, our inherent disposition, and nurture, our environment, blooming. At any stage with intention and care, the radiant signs of healthy self-love. A mirror of the soul. True self-love manifests in daily acts of grace. Here are its luminous hallmarks, inspired by the wisdom of psychological experts. Balanced confidence. You recognize your worth without needing external validation. You accept praise with gratitude and view setbacks as lessons, not cataclysms. Care. For body and mind, you move your body, nourish it with wholesome foods, and grant yourself rest without guilt. You set boundaries in relationships to preserve your inner peace. Self-compassion. Like a kind friend, you forgive your missteps and speak to yourself with gentleness, not judgment. Generosity of spirit. Healthy self-love spills outward, fostering empathy and kindness toward others, unmarred by feelings of lack. Humility and growth. You acknowledge your imperfections and embrace them as opportunities for evolution, free from the chains of perfectionism. If these rays of light shine in your life, you are walking the path of authentic self-love. The shadow of excess. When self-love turns to hubris, yet a delicate line separates self-love from its distorted twin, narcissism, Excessive self-love, far from nurturing, casts a shadow over the soul and those around it. Its signs include a sense of superiority. The individual sees themselves as above others, diminishing those in their orbit. Lack of empathy. Others' feelings become irrelevant, reduced to tools for personal gain. Craving constant adoration. A relentless need for praise fuels their actions, and criticism sparks rage. Toxic bonds. Relationships become imbalanced, with others serving as mere extensions of the self. This excessive form breeds isolation and fleeting satisfaction, unlike the enduring warmth of healthy self-love. The psychological lens, a scientific embrace. Psychology regards self-love as the bedrock of mental wellness. Heinz Kohut, pioneer of self-psychology, described it as the fuel for a coherent sense of self, only harmful when it veers into excess. Studies, such as those in Psychology Today, distinguish healthy narcissism, bolstering confidence, from its pathological counterpart, which fractures relationships. In Narcissistic Personality Disorder, NPD, self-love becomes a shield against deep-seated shame manifesting in destructive behaviors. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is often recommended to nurture a balanced self-image, guiding individuals toward a healthier love of self. Stay with us. Perhaps the facts in this video may change your life forever. The philosophical gaze, a timeless contemplation. Philosophy has long pondered self-love's place in the human soul. In Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, self-love is the root of virtue. The noble person loves themselves because they pursue the good, extending this love to others through true friendship. Friedrich Nietzsche, in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, ties self-love to self-overcoming, a love not of the frail ego, but of life's boundless potential. He warns against shallow self-adoration born of weakness, advocating for a love that fuels creativity and transcendence. Philosophers agree, authentic self-love is the key to an ethical and fulfilled existence. Now we introduce two luminous souls, real-life beacons of self-love. Let us draw inspiration from two remarkable figures who embody healthy self-love. Lizzo, the celebrated artist behind anthems like Truth Hurts, radiates self-love by embracing her plus-size body and defying conventional beauty standards. Her journey through depression to confidence inspires millions to celebrate their imperfections. Lizzo's advocacy for mental health and self-acceptance transforms her personal love into a global movement. Ashley Graham, this trailblazing model and body positivity advocate, built an empire on self-acceptance, despite early rejections for her size. Her daily rituals, exercise, meditation, and boundary setting reflect a commitment to self-care. Ashley's story empowers others, proving that self-love fuels both personal triumph and collective upliftment. These radiant souls show that self-love not only transforms the individual, but lights the way for others. We have now two cases of excessive self-love as psychological conditions. When self-love crosses into excess, it can manifest as pathological conditions, notably Narcissistic Personality Disorder, NPD, and certain presentations of Histrionic Personality Disorder, HPD. Below are detailed descriptions of these two psychological cases rooted in clinical understanding to illustrate how excessive self-love can become detrimental. First case: Narcissistic Personality Disorder, NPD. Description: Narcissistic Personality Disorder is a diagnosable mental health condition characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for excessive admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. Individuals with NPD exhibit a form of self-love that is not just excessive but pathological, often masking deep insecurities or feelings of inadequacy. According to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5, NPD affects approximately 1 to 2% of the population, though it may be underdiagnosed due to its complex presentation. Key features: grandiose sense of self. Individuals believe they are uniquely superior, often exaggerating achievements or expecting special treatment without commensurate accomplishments. Need for admiration. They crave constant validation and may react with anger or disdain when it is not received. Lack of empathy. Their excessive focus on self makes it difficult to understand or care about others' feelings, leading to exploitative relationships. Fragile. Self-esteem. Paradoxically, their self-love is brittle. Criticism can trigger intense shame or rage, as their grandiose facade compensates for underlying insecurity. Example from real life. Hypothetical case. Consider a high-profile CEO who demands constant praise from employees, takes credit for team successes, and belittles colleagues to maintain a sense of superiority. This individual might alienate others, sabotage professional relationships, and struggle with loneliness despite outward confidence, as their self-love is rooted in a need to mask vulnerability rather than genuine self-acceptance. Psychological perspective. Research, such as studies published in Psychology Today, suggests that NPD often stems from early childhood experiences such as excessive pampering or neglect, which disrupt healthy self-esteem development. Treatment, though challenging, may involve psychotherapy, like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, to address distorted self-perceptions and foster empathy. Second case. Histrionic Personality Disorder, HPD, with narcissistic features. Description. Histrionic personality disorder is characterized by a pattern of excessive attention-seeking behaviors, often driven by an intense need to be the center of attention and an exaggerated expression of emotions. While HPD is distinct from NPD, some individuals with HPD exhibit excessive self-love that borders on narcissistic tendencies, particularly when their need for admiration dominates their identity. HPD is estimated to affect about 1 to 3% of the general population per the DSM-5. Key features. Exaggerated self-focus. Individuals may obsess over their appearance or charisma, believing they are uniquely captivating and deserving of constant attention. Superficial emotionality. Their self-love manifests in dramatic displays, meant to draw others' focus, often lacking depth in emotional connections. Manipulative behaviors. They may use charm or seduction to maintain their spotlight, prioritizing their image over authentic relationships. Sensitivity to rejection. Like NPD, their self-love is fragile. Disapproval or lack of attention can lead to emotional distress. Example from real life. Hypothetical case. Imagine a social media influencer who constantly posts provocative content to garner likes and comments, becoming visibly upset when engagement drops. They might prioritize their image over meaningful interactions, using charm to manipulate followers' perceptions while struggling with feelings of emptiness when alone. This excessive self-love fuels a cycle of seeking external validation to sustain their self-worth. Psychological perspective. HPD with narcissistic traits often arises from environments where self-worth was tied to external approval, such as overly appearance-focused parenting. Therapeutic approaches, like psychodynamic therapy, aim to uncover these roots and help individuals build a more grounded sense of self-love. Distinguishing from healthy self-love. Unlike healthy self-love, which fosters self-compassion, resilience, and empathy for others, both NPD and HPD reflect a distorted, excessive self-focus that harms relationships and personal growth. These conditions illustrate how self-love, when unchecked, can spiral into psychological dysfunction, requiring professional intervention to restore balance. Why loving ourselves comes before loving others. A deep exploration. In the tapestry of human relationships, the adage, "Love yourself before you love others," has echoed through philosophy, psychology, and personal wisdom for centuries. At its core, this principle suggests that self-love, defined as a profound acceptance, compassion, and care for one's own being, is not just a personal indulgence, but a foundational pillar for building healthy, reciprocal connections with others. Without it, our attempts at love can become distorted, leading to dependency, resentment, or emotional exhaustion. But why is this the case? Let us delve deeply into the psychological, philosophical, and practical dimensions, expanding with illustrations, analogies, and evidence-based insights to illuminate why prioritizing self-love is essential. While there is some debate on whether it's strictly a prerequisite, the weight of evidence leans toward its profound benefits, fostering emotional resilience, authenticity, and mutual fulfillment in relationships. Psychological foundations. Building. From within, from a psychological perspective, self-love acts as an emotional anchor, ensuring that we enter relationships from a place of wholeness rather than lack. Imagine a tree with shallow roots attempting to support heavy branches laden with fruit. It may bend, break, or fail to nourish what grows from it. Similarly, without self-love, we risk projecting our insecurities onto others, seeking validation that only we can truly provide. One key reason is that self-love promotes emotional stability, reducing the volatility that can sabotage connections. When we love ourselves, we cultivate a sense of inner security, which diminishes fears like jealousy or abandonment. For instance, consider a person with low self-esteem entering a romantic partnership. They might interpret a partner's busy day as rejection, leading to unnecessary conflicts or clinginess. In contrast, someone grounded in self-love views such moments through a lens of trust, responding with calm communication rather than reactive emotion. A psychologist's analysis highlights this. Self-love ensures we approach relationships from stability, not a void, allowing for productive dialogues that deepen bonds. Research supports this, showing that self-compassion, a core element of self-love, enhances resilience, helping individuals manage stress without burnout, which in turn sustains their capacity to support others. Another psychological imperative is avoiding self-sabotage and codependency. Low self-love often manifests in patterns like people-pleasing or tolerating mistreatment, stemming from a belief that we are unworthy of better. This can lead to unbalanced relationships where one partner gives endlessly while receiving little, breeding resentment. An illustration: picture a vase cracked from within. Pouring water, love into it for others, will only result in leaks, leaving everyone parched. Studies indicate that poor self-esteem correlates with trust issues and high expectations that undermine love, as individuals unconsciously push away what they fear losing. By loving ourselves first, we set healthy boundaries, modeling respect and equality. This balances dynamics, preventing one-sided dependencies and fostering partnerships where both thrive independently yet interdependently. Furthermore, self-love enhances empathy and compassion for others. Paradoxically, harsh self-judgment often extends outward, making it harder to forgive or understand loved ones. Research on self-compassion reveals it's linked to greater perspective-taking and forgiveness toward others, especially among those with high well-being. In one study involving mindfulness practitioners, self-compassionate individuals showed more altruism, suggesting that inner kindness ripples outward. Without this foundation, we might project our self-criticism, judging others harshly to deflect our own pain. Philosophical perspectives. Ancient wisdom meets modern insight. Philosophically, the call to love oneself before others traces back to thinkers who viewed self-love as the root of ethical living and genuine connection. Aristotle, in his Nicomachean Ethics, argued that true self-love is virtuous, not selfish. It involves pursuing the good for oneself, which naturally extends to friends and society as an expression of shared humanity. He illustrated this with the noble person who loves themselves for their pursuit of excellence, enabling them to love others without depletion. Without self-love, relationships become transactional, lacking the depth of mutual elevation. In Eastern traditions, such as Buddhism, self-compassion is seen as a prerequisite for metta, loving kindness, toward all beings. The Buddha's teachings emphasize that hating oneself creates suffering that contaminates interactions, like a poisoned well tainting the water drawn for others. Modern philosophy echoes this. Friedrich Nietzsche spoke of self-overcoming, where loving one's potential fosters creativity and strength, allowing us to give authentically rather than from weakness. Biblically, the command "love your neighbor as yourself" implies self-love as the measure. How can we offer others what we deny ourselves? This philosophical thread underscores that self-love prevents exploitation. It ensures love is given freely, not as a desperate bid for reciprocation. Real-life benefits and scenarios. To illustrate the transformative power, consider everyday scenarios expanded for clarity. In romantic love, self-love fuels authenticity. A woman who embraces her quirks enters a relationship without pretense, attracting a partner who values her true self. Without it, she might mold herself to fit ideals, leading to eventual disillusionment. Benefits include higher self-esteem, Motivation and mental health, as evidence shows self-love correlates with reduced anxiety and improved resilience. In friendships, self-love allows setting boundaries, saying no to draining requests without guilt, preserving energy for meaningful support. Parenting offers another vivid example. A parent who loves themselves models self-care for children, teaching them healthy love rather than self-sacrifice. Studies link parental self-compassion to better family dynamics, as compassionate parents are more forgiving and less reactive. Professionally, self-love drives assertiveness, like negotiating fair pay, which indirectly benefits teams by promoting equity. Broader benefits emerge in societal contexts. Communities thrive when individuals love themselves, reducing cycles of harm from unhealed wounds. For instance, social movements like body positivity stem from self-love, empowering collective advocacy. Addressing the debate, is it truly necessary before? While compelling, some argue self-love isn't a strict prerequisite. You can learn it through loving others. Loving relationships can mirror our worth, fostering self-acceptance over time. Research shows that compassion trainings for others can boost self-compassion, indicating a bidirectional link. In cases of low well-being, people may excel at loving others despite self-struggles, as seen in caregivers with burnout. However, this doesn't negate the should. Prioritizing self-love minimizes risks like unhealthy attachments, making it a wise foundation, even if not absolute. Conclusion: the journey inward for outward radiance. Ultimately, loving ourselves before others is about creating a reservoir of love that overflows sustainably, rather than drawing from an empty well. It empowers authentic connections, emotional health, and ethical living, as illustrated through psychological stability, philosophical virtue, and real-world harmony. Begin small. Practice self-compassion daily. Forgive your flaws and celebrate your strengths. In doing so, you'll not only enrich your life but become a beacon for others, proving that true love starts within. If you're on this path, remember, it's not selfish. It's the greatest gift you can give to those you cherish. A final reflection. Begin your journey today. Self-love is an eternal pilgrimage, one that paints life in vibrant hues of joy and resilience. Steer clear of excess and cultivate its healthy glow through mindfulness and practice. If the path feels daunting, seek guidance from a trusted mentor or therapist. Thank you for joining me in this exploration. Share your stories below, and let's make soul self-love a global beacon. Did this video add anything new to your knowledge? Click the like button and tell us in the comments which part of the video and which piece of information you liked and were curious about. If you aren't subscribed to Edulosophy channel, subscribe now as we delve deeper than others dare.